Alrighty, welcome back, and we are going to look at how we created a bear that is guided by an animal avatar spirit, or an animal walker avatar spirit. And let's look at it in my sandbox. So there's John Francis, and he's at Rosebud, and John is looking around because the bears need to find a way to get safely across Collier Boulevard. And if you can look out there in the distance, you see a truck and you see a car. So there's traffic down there and it's very dangerous. And John knows the way, so he is going to ask permission of the bear to guide the bear as an animal walker spirit. And so John walks over to the animal walker spirit, and anybody playing the game can do that. It's a Spatian explorer made to go anywhere in the universe. It doesn't depend on the air being 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen with trace gases of carbon dioxide and argon and water vapor. The Spatian can go and walk in any environment because they carry their own life support system. And this Spatian avatar is available. You can become an animal walker spirit by simply walking up to it and hitting the F key, and boom, now you are an animal walker spirit. And then you can go and say, I'm going to try to get your friend, yes, well, don't tell me to go away. I'm going to try to get your friend across Collier Boulevard without getting hit by those trucks and cars. So would you give me permission to guide you? And I don't think that was shaking head no, that was just communicating with the other bear and basically saying yes. So we go and hit F, and now we're on the bear, and the bear starts to walk. And we guide the bear and say, okay, let's go over here. And of course, this would be populated with trees and vegetation, but we've got to slowly make our way across, and then, this is where it gets dangerous as we get toward Collier Boulevard and Hale, where there's all that traffic, and it's quite fast, and this is how bears lose their lives. And so we'll pause here and look at the timing of this, and the bear is very confused because bears don't usually deal with this kind of traffic. Can we make it across? This is a very scary moment here. So what is the timing? There's zoom and then zoom. So you basically have you get 2 seconds to make it across. Boy, that is tough. 1, 2. Oh boy, if only the people would stop. Well, you really need an animal crossing here because this is not easy. So go. Nope, whoa, whoa, whoa. You get hit by the car there. Go, 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 go. And we made it. Okay, so, but don't fall over the edge of the world. So that's kind of what we're exploring in this game, which is kind of fun. And we can reload this. And while it's reloading, let's take a look at how this is done. So we have these animations here. We have a car animation. And when we play the car animation, which we can always change, then the car should be the car animation. It is the car animation. This is the car, and then, yeah, the car is moving. So as you can see, what the car does here in the animation is the car crosses, stops here, pauses for just a second, and then zooms across and goes down that way. And meanwhile, the truck animation is, oops, that's not this, it's this one here. And let me go back to the scene. And let me select the truck and hit F to focus in on that if I can. There we go. That's not a high poly truck because we're just testing things. It can be made to look as realistic as possible. But there's the truck animation, and the truck just continues on its way. And as you can see, when we go down to the highway here, we have the truck and stopping here. We don't have an animation where it goes on. We could put one in. Obviously, this is infinitely expandable. Truck comes to a stop at the line there, and then if we turn on record after I get past the line, turn on the record button and pull that truck across the road, and off the scene, then that keyframe there would continue the animation. So let's bring this keyframe out a little bit, and let's see. And then this one here where it stops, we don't want it to roll right through. We have a keyframe that stops there. What we really want to do is duplicate it with Control C, come over a few more seconds and duplicate it back there so the truck does stop before it moves on. And then we can move it over and grab this and move that over. And that's all about how you do the timing. And then we can determine how the bear can get across during those timing things. Let's turn off the record. Let's play the animation. The truck comes through, it stops, waits a second, and goes on. And that's happening there. And meanwhile, the car here, as we play that animation, that car is, select it, there we go, and hit play, and that car stops, crosses, and then drives through. So pretty dangerous highway. Now, the graph shows that it just, on entry to the game, it's just going to play that animation that I just made. And the entry of the car will play the car animation. That's all that graph does. So good for that. And then what we have going on here is the map and from Google, and then we've taken a photogrammetry, a drone scan of Rosebud and situated it appropriately in the landscape. And then we've got these bears, and this bear here has a bear animation attached. So when you look at the prefab and then you look at the animation controller, it enters and it goes on idle, but then any state can elicit a walk or a run depending on the trigger. And we have a trigger TR walk and a trigger TR1. We're only using the trigger for the walk. And so when we select this, this bear is actually inside a golf cart. And there's the golf cart. It's really the golf cart that is doing the moving because that's a prefab that Spatial gives us. So we don't have to write any code or script. And we just attached the bear as a child of the major golf cart area. And then we made the golf cart itself, we made it invisible. And that's how we're able to get that effect going. And then we have a trigger for the bear so that when in this golf cart, you see there's all sorts of code stuff in here, honking noises. We need to replace that with a bear roar. We can put a bear sound in that instead of an engine sound and a honking sound. So we'll do all that replacements because there's this invisible golf cart there. And then when it comes to the movement here, there is an interactable right there. And that interactable says that the interact text is going to be drive. Let's just say guide the bear to a safe location. That's what we want to put there. We're not going to compile this yet. And then the animator event is the brown bear prefab with the walk as a trigger. That's what we've done in there. And so then, we save it, and then we would go to test active scene, and it's doing all of its saving. And then when you test active scene, then it's going to compile it. And you can see how long it takes. This is painstaking work because you make one little change and then you have to compile. You can't just hit play as you would in a normal game in Unity. Because we're doing this with Spatial, it has to be compiled and sent to a testing area, the active scene testing area, and that takes its sweet time. So I'm going to close this down. You're not going to see much of a difference there, but I'll close that down, and then it'll open up. So here I am watching tutorials how to animate a game object. I spent hours and hours and hours watching all sorts of tutorials in order to then extend what I learned from it to our particular Florida Wildlife Corridor project. So you can see it's still importing the sandbox, and that's not publishing. It does take its time, but it's worth doing. You just have to make a decision sort of executively of when to do your testing, how many things to change. The problem is if you change too much, then you could have an error, and then not know what it was that caused the error. So you really should be testing every time you make any change. It's time consuming. So I usually leave on the peruse all and check my students' work while this is compiling. It's now compiling, and you can see it says sit hang tight. So that's a cue for me to go in and look at my students' notes, and it should pop up. There we go. It's popping up. And now, once it's compiled, now you can see we have the same situation here. Let's show also that you can go over as John or yourself, and you can drive and get in the golf cart itself and go zooming over and stop traffic. This will have solar panels on this eventually, but I can come down here, and this is where you might want to come over and say, you might say, hey, look, everybody, I'm trying to, see how they both stop now? There at the crossing. I don't want to collide there, but whoa, skid, skid, skid. So now you can see that this truck stops here and then goes on, and that car here stops and then goes on. So that's the, we really need a street light here, or an Animal Crossing, a wildlife crossing. Okay, so we've seen that, and now we can drive back to the Rosebud Continuum, and we haven't built all of that out yet, and we need to clean up that photogrammetry model, but all right, good enough. And then exit the vehicle. That said drive. Now let's see if our change happened here. Here it says guide the bear to a safe location, right? So shall we do that? Shall we go there? So, but I'm not gonna ride. You could of course ride the bear, but I think that would be impolite. So what you want to do is you want to change into an animal walker spirit who doesn't have any mass or weight and therefore cannot harm the bear's back. You want to break the bear's back, and you want to just be able to whisper guidance to help the bear. So I turn into the spirit. Now I am an animal walker spirit, and I can come up to the bear and ask permission to guide the bear. And then we start walking around the landscape and try to find a safe location to cross. As human beings, we have a little more intuition as to how traffic works. Maybe there would have been an advantage to riding the bear because people are more likely to stop for a human than they are for wildlife, unfortunately. But we get there, and let's see, can we make it across? So there's this moment, and there's that moment, and then yes, I can try to, whoops, get across. Whoa, almost got hit. Oh boy, okay. So yeah, that's the basic essence of the game, is guiding the bear as an animal walker, and then when you're done, wish the bear well and say that you'll come back and you'll guide other wildlife across. And we can make any wildlife doable, walkable, guidable, and then you can run back. So I hope that that gives you an idea of what we're trying to create here. I think it's pretty compelling. Now all I need to do in order to make it work for the public is go to publishing and publish the active package and hope there's no errors. It seems to have played well. It's the Rosebud scene, and so we're gonna publish this Rosebud front lawn. We're about to upload it to Spatial for publishing. We did test it, and this is now going to, following open scene have been changed on disk, reload the scene, and this should do it. This is, we'll let this thing load, and then we will be able to play it from anywhere. So thank you very much for watching, and good night.